heavy wall pipe with a 3/4 inside diameter, and I welded it to an 1.5-inch pipe, and then I welded that pipe to the to a plate, and I bolted it down, see, to a piece of oak. But first I mortised out the oak and drilled a hole down through here, so the peg will go down through and come out that mortise. Now I got this piece of oak from work, but I mean, a lot of places have pieces of wood laying around. You can probably find a piece of reclaimed wood somewhere, pretty cheap, you know. You just have to keep an eye open and look around. If you go to like a place where they're doing a demolition or something on a building or something, so when you're driving the peg in there, sometimes it likes to wander a little bit. So I'll pull it, you know, towards the gap. And you don't want to hit your bevel with the hammer, because that'll dull your bevel on the die. So that's one that I rounded off. Now I'll show you. We'll drive one through there that's not rounded off. I'll drive a square one through there. So this is the one that we just did. See how nice it is? Nice and round. See? That's what happens when you do that, because it splinters off more. And I find I get a lot more waste when I do it like this. They all don't come out. So I have gaps on there. I can see from the top. So I would rather, you know, pare them down a little bit in there before you drive them in here. So when you're paring them down in the shaving horse with your shave. Now I bought this at a antique auction for $10, and I soaked it in vinegar, and then I scrubbed it with steel wool to clean it up. And I filed the bevel on it a little bit. It doesn't need to be extremely sharp, but this is actually, it stayed really sharp. So the antique ones are good because the metal is more higher quality. And then so when I started using it, I would use it with the bevel up, and I was told that was wrong. So now I use it bevel down. But I find that it works either way for doing these pegs. So it may work better one way or another for something else, but either way it works for the pegs. I get the same result. Now you want to do these when the wood is wet. And from experience, I did a bunch this spring, and I cut a bunch of blanks without paring them down. And then I also have a bunch that I did and I made, but the ones I didn't are dried out now. So I find that they're really a lot harder to work with than those shaving horses. You still can do it, but it's a lot more work because they're dried out and they're tough. So they peel off nicely when the wood's wet. I've heard of some people soaking them in water. as much right now. This one has a little bit of a flat spot on it. But, see, like this is 12 inches long. A lot of the pegs that are in our building are only going to be 9. So if I get, 9 inches out of this, we're good. So there's a flat spot on the end. So, but I'm still going to use it. I'm not going to worry about it. So what I'll do is I'll taper it down a little bit on the end and get it in the die. Over here to the die. Okay, now this is the square one that we didn't pare it down first. So what happens is when the wood's wet like this, it'll splinter off on the next straight grain when it's not close to being where it needs to be in there. So it'll come off in big chunks. And this is what's happened now. This one here is no good now because it came off in big chunks. So that's why I like to pare them down first. I could just pare them all the way down to 3/4 inch in the shaving horse, but that's going to take a lot more time to fine tune every one of them to get them, nice and even all the way down through. This way. Now here's a dry one. See what the dry one does. There, see that? That's the difference. That's why I like paring them down first.
Do you want to shave a dry one?
We can. We will. Alright. Not that I want to, but we will. So let's see here. Here's a dry one. This one looks like I shaved it a little bit with the axe when it was wet. I think that when you first start on them, they're a little rough, but when you get towards the middle of the piece, I think it starts going a little easier.
So do you find that much harder than when it's wet?
Yeah, they're really much easier to work with when it's wet. Yeah. You really should do them when they're wet. If you have to do them when you dry, you can. It's not impossible. If I had to do it again, I would definitely spend a little bit more time building the shaving horse a little bit better. mean, this does work, but just seems like it's a little wobbly, and you know, if I had to do it again, I would spend a little bit more time, you know, building a sturdier shaving horse. There's better designs out there. You can get plans off the internet. LeeValleyTools.com. They have a sawhorse plan on there. I mean, a shaving horse plan on their site.